Well, hey everyone, it's Marcus and welcome to more chatting in my jungle room. I'm heading over to the UK today. It's pretty much the end of the day. It's probably very, very cold, quite opposite to Adelaide. I'm speaking to a world music artist who's killing it. Please welcome everybody, Newton Faulkner. Newton, hey, how are
Hey,
you?
I'm very well indeed. I've had a busy day in freezing London.
Uh, well, you know what? I know that you're coming to Australia soon. Let me just warn you, it is very, very warm over here.
Is it?
The heat is sizzling. Um,
Okay, I will be mentally prepared for this.
but we could talk about the weather forever, but we've got more exciting things to talk about, like your music and upcoming tour. So What Took You So Long has just come out. I freaking love it. It's kind of like a summer vibe. And I know that you're not in summer at the moment, but it's a very summer kind of dancey kind of vibe for us over here. It's very beachy. It's got a cool gig to it. I love it. But I also want to touch on another song that I really love that you brought out
Hmm.
already as well, which is Gravitational in
Oh, nice.
Pain. I really, truly love that. Anyways, obviously the main album, the full album, Octopus, comes out on March the 6th.
Hmm.
But before we start talking about the album, let's talk about the new song, What Took You So Long? What was the inspiration behind that?
It goes back a really long time. I wrote the verses. Oh, but I must be. It's probably almost a decade ago, and I remember playing them to kind of the people that were kind of A&Ring the record I was making at that time. And I remember playing it to them and then being looking at me like I was a bit mad and being like, okay, that's a bit weird and interesting, but could you maybe just do something that sounds exactly like Dream Catch Me again instead of that, which is a bit weird? Would you mind doing that? And then I kind of shelved it, and then every time I came back to it, it just had this funny taste in my mouth from people being like, could you not do that? Um, and then this record, I really just anything I loved, I did. Anything that made me happy, I did. Anything that I found exciting in any direction, I just kind of let it go wherever it wanted to go. And with that, that track was actually kind of set a tone for the whole record because I was like, oh, this is an idea that I've had for a long time. I've always loved. Someone else was like, that is cool. And then we've made it, and everyone's like, oh, this feels really exciting. I'm like, well, if you let me do this, what I want to do the first time,
I know
it could have
so
been great.
hard.
And yeah, so it did, yeah, it literally did take me so long. But yeah, I love it as a track. It was so much fun to make. And Adge, the other producer on it, did such a fantastic job. His kind of drum programming and his kind of synth work really like it leveled it up quite considerably. Yeah, it's a real pleasure to do live because it involves everything like full complication, everything, and like the drums are with my feet. The There's an electric guitar that I'm playing, but the top of the electric guitar is sending MIDI signals to one thing. The bass of the guitar is going to a different machine, and I'm kind of generating like kind of double figures worth of kind of signals, but just on my own and feeling that, yeah, really driving all of that at the same time is so much fun.
Freaking
I have a great time on that one.
You touched on it already, but well, first of all, 5 years in the making, this album, incredible. And I'll ask about that in a minute. But I mean, you've
Hmm.
already touched on it. It is a bit of a departure of sound. One other song that I've heard, "All Right, All Right, All Right," with Bloom Twins, is
Yeah.
totally different again. And like I just had that playing really loud in the car just before. Like this is like listening music. It's
Ah,
awesome stuff. Like I'm just so wrapped, and I'm
oh,
so looking forward to hearing the rest of the album now. Um, Obviously, I just said Bloom Twins. There are some other collaborations on the album. Another song that's
mhm.
already come out, Hunting Season, which I think was the first release off the album.
Yeah.
Lissy and Los Bichos. Um, do you love your collaborations?
Yeah. It was actually just before the C bomb hit. So just before COVID, I
Mm.
remember having a conversation with my team and being like, right, the last record I felt was too insular. next record coming up, I want to work with as many people as possible, and I want to really like really spread my wings and like talk to everyone and have a great time. And then the world shut, and it was like you can't see anyone or work with anyone. I was like, okay, I will make an album on my own, which is what I ended up doing. But by doing that, I kind of really learnt how to make tracks the kind of all of the bones of this record kind of came through that one. Um, and then being able to collaborate with people and do like a majority of the kind of production work myself, like it was so much fun. It was so amazing to kind of bring them in and be like, okay, how are we going to do this? And Sarah, like it was really interesting for me to work with a guitarist because I don't really do it ever because I'm the guitarist in me. So I'm kind of doing what I do. But then to having made a whole track that it was nowhere near as cool. It was slightly kind of, it was a bit kind of Paul Simon Graceland, a bit, it was kind of like quite an Afrikaans thing. And it was like a bit Vampire Weekend. And it was kind of cool, but it just I didn't feel like it was doing the song justice. I felt like there was more legs to it. And then when Sarah started doing what she does, it was like, oh, that's just something I would never have even thought of. She's like in a place in the neck that I never hang out. She's doing stuff that even when I try and do sounds completely different. I don't know what she's got on her finger. She's got some kind of music. But yeah, I just absolutely loved it. And then when she did what she did. And then remember having a long conversation about the bass and what it could do. And that kind of walking bass line, I'd never really played before. But as soon as I started doing it, I was like, oh, this is really fun. And I felt like that was kind of the glue. And the vocals with bringing Lissy in took a little while to find the right person. There was kind of there was one person that kind of offered and then pulled out, and then it was like, okay, that didn't feel quite right anyway. I was kind of waiting for that, and then when Lissy heard the track and was just 100% in, I was like, okay, this is great because she kind of brings a kind of Fleetwood Mac-ness to it that it kind of isn't there without her at all. But as soon as she comes in, you're like, oh, this sounds like a kind of retro call to it.
Hunting Season, the track is a terrific song as well. I just feel like, I don't know how you sat down and worked out what songs you were going to release first, because I mean, so far, all four of them are bangers.
Oh, thank you very
So
much.
like I said, I think it's just going to be an album of hits. Fingers crossed.
No, there's a lot to look forward to. I mean, it doesn't,
But
there's there's nothing that sounds the same
you
across the
must be
whole
so
record.
excited. It's your eighth studio album. So let's
It
touch
is,
on
yeah.
the 5 years in the making. Was that a
Mhm.
deliberate attempt to go slow with it, or was that the way that it just worked out?
It was, I think I'd done things, I'd done a lot of things fast in the past, and there'd been a degree of kind of how the industry kind of shifted in that you'd release an album so that you could do a tour. And I remember being told that I couldn't tour unless I released an album. I was like, but I don't have an album in my head right now, but I also still need to feed my kids. So can we do a tour, please? And a lot of people were like, no, you can't do that. You're not allowed. And I was like, but people, like I'm getting messages that like all the time asking me when I'm playing. I think there's at least some demand somewhere. So could we maybe just try putting on a tour without releasing a record and just see what happens? And eventually someone said yes. And we did it and it sold out. And it was like, oh, okay. So we can tour without releasing records. This means I can really kind of take a step back, not chase my own tail in terms of kind of trying to release stuff in order to go out and make money, because I can go out and do that bit while putting the proper time into making something that I really believe in, because there were some things that were done on a much shorter time scale than I would have liked, for that reason. And then with this, it was like we can't we can't just come back and do anything we've done before. We can't do like a chilled thing because it's not really what's kind of ticking the box at the moment. It's also not what I'm really listening to at the moment, which is another part of it. And I was like, what I'm listening to is this kind of spread of stuff. And I was like, okay, well, let's start making something interesting and just see where it goes. And then when hunting season came in, it was like, oh, this is a vibe. And then when the other tracks started kind of coming in around, it was like, oh, okay, this is now getting really interesting because each track kind of has its totally own identity and is going in a different direction. And then there's some things that came in near the end that kind of vocally pushed me really hard. There's a track called Better for You, which was it's one of my favorite things I've ever sung. Like I absolutely loved it. And it's been a really interesting ride. And then instead of getting them to a point where it was like feeling good and then chucking it out, even when it was done, it was like, okay, this is good. Can we make it any better? Like, what are the weak points? What are we missing? And we just kind of just pulled back a little bit. I think you can really feel the attention to detail in it now.
You kind of mentioned, and I'm just going to say it, Newton. I could talk about your music with you all day. I mean, like, I find your music so fascinating, and the levels and the depth of it just,
Oh,
totally
thank you.
intrigues me. But you touched, or you mentioned, the kind of music you're listening to at the moment that has been inspiring you, or whatever, or leading your way into, what you're
Hmm.
creating at the minute. But let's go way back to the beginning. Who were you listening to as a child in the bedroom of mum and dad's house? That really kind of inspired you into getting into this industry?
Well, my parents had an incredible record collection, still do. They've actually got this kind of vinyl jukebox thing that someone got for them on the wall that kind of so you can pick tracks and it flicks things in. It's amazing. Um, but their kind of staples were a lot of it was kind of American, specifically kind of Californian folk, so like kind of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and Joni Mitchell and that whole kind of Californian folk scene. Um, and then my dad got a bit heavier, not like never like metal. I think kind of Steppenwolf was the heaviest he went. So that was kind of what I grew up on at home. But the two things that were kind of held in the highest esteem were music and comedy were, I mean, it was kind of those things were looked at like I think some families talk about kind of great explorers or these kind of incredible, I don't know, financial leaders. But then in my house, it was like Billy Connolly is like a god, and this like this guy who plays guitar is like the coolest guy ever, and like all of the focus was on these kind of things. And then I never felt any need to rebel against that because I felt like it was just inarguably great music, and I think it still stands up today. You can still put it on and be like, "This is amazing." Um, and then after that, I started introducing my parents to stuff. One of my proudest kind of moments as a son is when my mum pulled up to school blasting the President's United States of America's first album. And
Yeah,
I was like, yes, mom, this is great.
I love
Um,
it.
and I kind of got really into that. I went through like a ska phase, um, kind of grungy phase as well. So kind of Nirvana and Pearl Jam and kind of all of that's in there. And then some of the more kind of American influenced punk stuff had it's like Green Day was another like huge influence. I still think for songwriting, they're actually incredible songwriters.
Terrific.
Um, oh, and then the other thing in my parents' record collection was Queen as well. So Queen had like that took up quite a lot of space.
Heavenly.
Um, and I think all of that kind of went together. And then as as I've kind of got into it more, so when I started getting into guitar stuff, I was listening to things just for playing. So I was listening to like instrumental guitarists and like really honing in on that. And then when I started getting more technical about vocals, there was stuff I was listening to just for kind of vocal stuff. I was like, wow, these people can do this. Like, that's amazing. That's really good. I need to learn how to do that. Um, And then like songwriting wise, there's people that I listen to just for writing. And now production wise, the stuff that I'm listening to for the production, I'm like, oh wow, okay, that's really interesting that they've done that and that and that. And I'm listening to it being like, how'd you do that? It's like a mic in a corridor and like all this stuff.
Mhm.
And that's kind of coming in as well. So I'm analyzing kind of what synths people are using, kick sounds, and all of that's kind of creeping around. I mean, my favorite part of making this record was playing bass.
Yeah,
Like
wow.
I got a new bass. It's actually behind me. I got that bass just
Yes.
before I started working on this record, and then the way that I've played, like I've played bass on stuff, but only if it's been simple. And then if it's got to a point where I'm like, I think this needs a real bass player, I've always gone somewhere else. Um, but then with the record that I made kind of more completely on my own, I was like, I can't get a bass player in. I don't want to send it to someone that is going to play on it. And it's like, no one really wants to work other than me right now. So I'm just going to get on with it. And I kind of taught myself bass on that record. And then when I bought this bass, it again totally changed the way I played. And I feel like the bass playing on this record is the best, definitely the best I've ever done in my career. And I was playing bass on something else today. Um,
Heaven.
yeah, it's such a fascinating instrument.
Nuts. I love it. Hey, 20 years active in the industry. Obviously, you've been an
Yeah.
artist all your life, but 20 years. So, well, first of all, congratulations on that. But
Oh,
what would
thank
be
you.
one of the biggest lessons that you've learnt in the industry so far?
I think it's to take control of the things that you can take control of and not try and maintain the illusion of having control over things that you don't.
And can that just apply to the
Because
rest of our lives as well?
definitely,
Yeah.
it's quite fun. But if I look at, so even if I go back, so if I look at why the first record did what it did, or even Dream Catch Me, just as like a singular thing,
Yep.
I went into the studio, I wrote the verses when I was a child and like held on to them. It's like, I do think these are good. And then they kind of got absorbed. And I remember playing the guy like things on a freaking cassette, being like, I've made these. Like it was that's how far back that goes. And then I went in and I remember like the production on the tracks. So someone brought in Mike Spencer, who's an incredibly like amazing producer, pedigree going back. And he's literally he's been I think consistently in the top 10 for like 50 years. It's mental. Um, yeah, he's a mind-blowing producer that someone was like, would you like to produce this? And he said yes. So that's the first kind of thing that is out of my control. He could have said no. The writing session could not have happened. And then if you keep that thought process going, what starts actually contributing to where it got to was that the right person was at the radio station when it was taken into the radio who said yes the first time. All of that is so far away from me sitting in the studio doing what I do. And
Crazy.
it's the amount of things that had to fall for that to go well, and the amount of people that had to be in the right place at the right time, and all of this stuff. Like it's never just down to like one artist in one room making the whole thing happen. There's so many other things that have to be happening in the right way for it to work. And I think you can waste a lot of energy and a lot of stress kind of chasing after the things that you're not in control of, so much so that you kind of lose sight of the bits that you can actually do and do well. And there's obviously like so many more opportunities than there ever have been before, but it's also more complicated than it's ever been before, and you've got to pick between more things. So social media is an amazing way of reaching people,
Mm,
but you've
definitely.
got to do it in a way that you're kind of comfortable with, and it's got to kind of work for you. And if it's something you feel you can take full control of
Yep.
and it can be authentic, then it'll work. But if you force yourself to do it, it's not gonna, people can feel that. And it's the same kind of musically. If you force yourself to do music you don't want to do because you think it's going to do something over there, it's just this kind of balancing act between taking full control and full responsibility
Mm.
and letting go of everything you can't.
Oh my God, much respect, 100%. Hey, I'm going to ask you a random question.
Yes.
Over the course of the last 10 years, obviously even prior to that, but let's say the last 10 years, we've lost a lot of major artists, premature
Yeah.
as well, that, we've admired
Yeah.
and grown up on, whether it be the Princes, the Michael Jacksons, the Tina Turners, just recently
Yeah.
was born. Who's someone that's really affected you deeply, with losing them?
I mean, the hardest one for me was Eric Roach. So Eric Roach was the first kind of guitarist I was introduced to in this whole style of playing that I adopted and kind of love playing. And I remember I heard Thomas Lieb, then I heard Eric Roach, and then I went to the college that I'd already enrolled in before I'd heard him, and I'd never looked at a picture or anything. And then this person came up at the front of the class and introduced themselves like, "Hi, I'm Eric Roach." I was like, "What?" That is weird. And then we became really good friends. I remember I had the amazing opportunity of, and this is something that a lot of people probably would want to do with artists, but don't get to do because it's quite a bizarre situation to be in. But I remember taking I Need Something off the first record. I kind of found him between classes and was like, "Can I borrow you for 3 minutes and 28 seconds? I want to play you a song that I've written. It's heavily influenced by you, and I'm like completely aware of that. That is like I'm owning that. Um, and what I just want to play it to you, and I want you to tell me if I'm just ripping you off or if you think that I've taken what you do and kind of made it my own in as much as I can and kind of taken it somewhere else. And if you say I'm allowed to, I would like to do this. I would like to write songs using these techniques. But if you don't, I'll stop."
Wow. Yeah.
Quite nerve-wracking. It's probably not the best I've ever played it because just that amount of pressure is pretty insane.
Um,
Luckily, he was really into it. He was really helpful. He gave me loads of advice. Um, and then I kind of kept playing him stuff. I mean, he died long before things kind of went where they went. And if you listen to, I've written a few songs about him, but so much was like completely about his influence on me and just the fact that there is so much of him in everything that I do.
that's
So, I mean, I can't play it live because I can't get past second. I think it's beginning of the second verse. Just my throat starts going. I just can't. I've never made it to the end, so I just stopped. But yeah, that was the hardest one because it was obviously like a huge musical influence, not just in terms of my playing, but like his entire attitude to music. I felt was something that I very much absorbed. And there's a plaque up in the ACM which has like an Eric Roach quote above the door, and it's really simple. It's just music is a language. Just make sure you have something to say, and that I've really like held on to and still think about when I'm working in the studio or whether I'm playing bass or digging through samples. I'm like, okay, what am I trying to say? Like, what am I actually doing here? And it's been it's kind of stayed at the front of my mind for a very long time now. So yeah, that was definitely that definitely hit me the hardest. But yeah, there's been so many kind of icons
mm, too
that
many.
have gone recently. Yeah.
You are such, I mean, you have got so much heart and soul behind your music, behind your artistry. You're such an incredible human. And like I said, I could chat with you forever. I literally, though, got my 5-minute warning saying time is almost
Oh shit. Okay.
we've been way over. And we haven't even spoken about that other big thing happening in your world. But you are doing now, there's up for debate about this, but I've got it down as this is your fifth Australian tour. There might have been.
Yes.
But the Newton Faulkner Australian Tour 2026 is coming
Yeah.
our way, kicks off 10th of April, which is after the
Yep.
album come out. Wraps up on the Sunday, 26th of April in the Gold Coast. Excitedly for Markus. It's Wednesday, 22nd of April, right here in Adelaide at Jive. I will be there. I can't even wait. Please tell me there's going to be an album that you're selling by vinyl.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You can definitely do that.
What are you looking forward to most about the tour this time round?
It is kind of the same every time. I mean, my favorite thing is watching people hear the stuff for the first time. I can't, the level of enthusiasm for this material in Australia has completely blown me away.
Mm.
I'm just, yeah, I couldn't be more excited to come down. Yeah, I've just been, everyone I've spoken to have been like, dude, this is good. This is really good. I'm like, is it? Did I do? Because literally make it in this chair, and it's all quite kind of, it just feels like I'm kind of bumbling my way through, and then sending it off to the other side of the world. And the other side of the world is like, it's really good. We really like it over here. It's amazing. Like, it's totally mind blowing.
I love that. I love it. Hey, I want to say congratulations on the tracks that I've heard so far.
Thank you.
The whole album literally comes out in 1 month's time.
Is it 1 month? Ooh.
1 month. Because it's Friday the 6th of February over here.
Yeah.
Comes out 6th of March. So yeah, 1 month away. I wish you all the best for it. And I cannot even wait to catch up with you, Newton, when you hit Adelaide in April.
Can't wait to be there. See you soon.
So nice chatting to you, and we'll speak.
Oh, love you talking to you too, man. Take care.